With SpecVet. In this screencast, you're going to get an overview of the system in terms of organization and feature set. The home page is the main launching point for the major parts of the system. In the middle part of the screen, you have easy navigation icons that allow users to navigate to the various parts of the system. On the left-hand side, you have a system update portal, which will give you updates regarding features or patches that are occurring within the system. One of the nice things about SpecVet is it has a very granular privilege set, which allows administrators to grant privileges to technicians, assistants, doctors, and the various managers access to the parts of the system they need to do their job without granting them privileges to the entire system. The clinical dashboard is unique to SpecVet, and what it allows is users to have access to relevant information all at their fingertips without having to constantly navigate into the system and back out. The dashboard is really made up of 5 areas. On the left-hand side is what's called the hospital census, and this is a listing of cases in the hospital. These could be formally admitted to the hospital, here for outpatient procedures, or just in the exam room. The middle column is the context view, and the context view allows the user to look at more detailed information depending on what part of the system they're using. On the far right are the mini portals, and the mini portals allow users access to their messages, orders, triage board, incomplete medical records, prescriptions, and appointments. At the top is the navigation bar. That's a consistent navigation bar throughout the system. It allows users to navigate to the main parts of the system. And lastly, quick search, where users can enter information and search for phone numbers, pet names, client names, visit IDs, discharge dates, admit dates, all again without having to leave the dashboard. Let's take a closer look at the dashboard then in some more detail. As you can see, in each portal row is a fair amount of information. You've got visit ID and location indicators. You know who the attending and the current doctors are. You can look at the patient's name, the client's name, some information about signalment, the reason for their visit. On the far right, you can look at the status of the visit, whether they're checked in, ready for discharge, or triaged. And on the far right, you have various medical and client flags to alert users of various statuses. You can filter this portal row by location, by doctor, by attending service, or by dates. You can also sort the portal row based on visit ID, patient name, and owner name. And as we said, on the far right side, you've got flags that indicate financial balances that are due, visit notes, client notes, as well as code status. Let's take a closer look at the context view. In this screen, we're looking at active visits, and we're looking at Gobi. And we know we are looking at that particular visit because it's highlighted in green. And you can see then in the middle context view, we're seeing details about that particular visit. You can look at owner information, financial information, referring veterinarian information. Again, all without clicking into the system. It's all readily available at your fingertips. Now, we can see that we are looking at order details. Similar concept that we get to see details about that order, where they were sent to, what was sent, and the status of the various orders. Quick search allows you to look for contacts, and whether that's a client, an employee, a referring veterinarian, or a vendor. You can look up orders, phone numbers, billing codes, inventory items, admit and discharge dates, patient and visit IDs, and the results then are all displayed on the secondary window that pops up to the right. And you can see that the pop-up window is organized by these various categories of information. Now let's take a look at the contacts. SpecVet is unique in that it's got a unified data structure for all its contacts. And a contact can be a client, an employee, a referring veterinarian, or an organization. And what's unique to SpecVet is that in traditional medical record systems, these would be 4 separate databases. We're unified so that an individual contact could be 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of those types of contacts. So the one that's listed here, John and Kelly Belts, you can see that they are considered a client, an employee, as well as a referring veterinarian. The benefit of this unified data model is that you end up only have to touch the data once and maintain one set of addresses or one set of phone numbers without having to change it in multiple places. In this list view of our contacts database, you also have the feature of quick lists. And quick lists allow you to quickly filter for referring veterinarians, whether the individuals or the clinics, employees, or recent clients. Regardless of what data is being displayed, you can print them out, you can print mailing lists, you can print individual mailing labels, or you can export them to Excel. With the quick lists, we have selected to display the clinics within the system. And you get a nice listing of all the clinics, referring veterinarians, which are part of the system. You can sort by A to Z. Again, print out that list for mailing labels or export to Excel for email, mass emailing. But you don't have to maintain separate databases for these various types of contacts. Now let's go ahead and get ready to add a new contact as a client. You would select the new client icon and you'd be taken to a screen similar to this, where the data fields are easily marked. You can see which ones are required and not. SpecVet again is unique in that it allows 2 people to be a contact or an organization. We do have a zip code lookup table so that it allows verification of the city and state based on the zip code provided. We also have a data override checkbox which allow users to enter only incomplete information for those circumstances when that's appropriate. Once the initial data has been entered into the system, SpecVet will go ahead and query and cross-reference all the previously existing clients and cross-reference it against last name, phone number, zip codes, and a partial address to try to minimize or eliminate any potential duplicate clients. It will display all the duplicate clients on the right-hand side, and at this point you can access an existing client or continue with adding a new client. Once a new client has been added, you'll be presented with a client screen similar to this. These screens allow you easy access to all the basic client information, whether it's patient, financial, medical, or appointments. You can have unlimited numbers of phone numbers and types of phone numbers. And once a patient is created, this is one of the places where you could create a new visit or an appointment. Before we get deeper into the system, let's take a minute and take a look at some of the data structure and organization. Clients would have a client ID, and clients could have any number of patients. A patient then could have up to 3 referring veterinarians. The patient then has estimates, visits, prescriptions, and medical issues. And then under visits, the visits are made up of medical record notes and laboratory data. The fact that patients have medical issues allow any of the patient's medical record information to be filtered and sorted by diagnostic code or master problem list. And what this will allow then is specialties to only look at the information that's relevant to them, however, still having full access to the patient record just a click away. So here we are at the visit view for the medical records. There's several main sections within the visit view. Across the top is what's called the visit metadata, and that includes admit dates, discharge dates, patient name, client name, signalment, referring veterinarian information, attending doctor, current doctor, billing information. Right below the metadata is the visit navigation. In this view, we're selected with the MRNs, or the medical record notes. And these are analogous to various tabs of a traditional paper medical record. You have medical record notes, estimates, invoices, payments, orders, labs, prescriptions, reports. The navigation on the far right, in green, patient, client, RDVM, take you out of this visit and to that particular patient's or client's or referred veterinarian screen. On the left-hand side is the portal for the MRNs. So a medical record note is the MRN, and there are a variety of different types of MRNs, a history, a physical exam, a surgical note. And so this visit medical record is made up of an accumulation of these MRNs. To the right, then, is a display of the text of those MRNs. The way we've organized the data, there is no record lockout. So what that allows is any number of users, or an unlimited number of users, to be in various aspects of the patient's record without any record lockout. In this view, we're looking at the MRN portal row, and as you can see, the surgery report is highlighted in green. And so when an individual MRN is highlighted, just the text from that MRN is displayed. The patient history tool, which allows users to have access to the entire patient's medical record without having to leave the visit they're in. And so that's going to be the red button on the far right side of the navigation bar. By selecting it, you'll see this patient history toolbar pop up. And this allows you to look at all the past visits, all the past medical records, all the past labs, invoices, prescriptions, and master problem lists. All of these various parameters can be filtered by date, by provider, by diagnosis, by types of tests, types of notes, or by the master problem list. If you want more detail, you can click and you will then have the detail window pop up. So in this example, we're looking at the chemistry profile for Shelby, and a user could look at those results and continue to be writing in the medical record at the same time they're viewing the laboratory results. You can have multiple detail windows popped up, and this could be because you're looking at two different types of information, whether it's medical records or laboratory data, or it's going to allow you to compare and contrast laboratory data across time, or medical imaging reports over time. Okay, let's take a look at procedures. In SpecVet, a saved set of billing is considered a procedure. These procedures can have various classifications, whether they're category or subcategory, include estimate notes, so when they're imported to an estimate, all those qualifiers are automatically added. One of the nice things is as you update your fee structure and your billing codes, procedures are also updated. Now let's take a look at estimates within the visit view. In a given visit, you can have multiple estimates. You can add a procedure to an estimate. You can also add billing line after line in a manual fashion or some combination. Part of one procedure, some individual billing, and then another procedure. Once the billing is in the estimate, you can delete, modify the quantities. We have a true high and low range for the estimates. Some estimates can be tight and some estimates can be fairly broad depending on how they're created. You have a variety of different printing options. You can print in a summary view, which then prints the estimate out by billing category, or in the detail mode, which prints out every single line item. You also can duplicate an estimate in this screen, so that if you want to create multiple estimates based off the original base, you can do that more quickly as opposed to creating them individually. You also then can set the title for the estimate and the status of the estimate, whether it's been accepted or not. Now let's take a look at the invoices. Similarly, you can have multiple invoices for a given visit. This sometimes is necessary in a condominium business structure, or if there is real disparate billing between one service or another. You can add a procedure to an invoice directly. You also can add estimates to an invoice, or some combination. Again, SpecVet's unique in that we have a tight integration with our Cubix and Pixis interface, as well as our order system, which can automate a fair amount of your fee capture. And if done correctly, 60 to 70% of your fees can be automatically captured. Okay, let's take a look at our order system. The order system is a module that's developed in SpecVet to help clinicians or clinical staff order labs, images, and procedures. The goal of the order system is to enhance fee capture, manage logging of these various events, generate submission forms when appropriate. It allows clinical staff to track the status of these various orders in terms of whether they were ordered or received or client communications were occurred. It also allows administrative staff to evaluate metrics in terms of performance standards, time it takes to order and perform and receive results on these various different labs. The Visit View order screen has three main sections. First of all, when you want to place a new order, you simply select the New Order button, and you'd be presented with a list of various orders. All the orders that have been performed for this particular visit are displayed here. And then lastly, the details of that order. You can see that you have various statuses or steps for each order. The order steps can be customized based on the order type. If there's additional notes that you want to submit, whether it's to pathology or for imaging, you can execute those and place those in the order notes. Let's take a look at labs now. Our lab module is designed to accept and display both text and numeric-based results. We have automatic flagging of results based on signalment. We interface with the major reference labs as well as the more standard in-house stat labs. On the left-hand side, you see a listing of all the labs, and on the right-hand side, you see the details of that lab. In this screen, then, now we're going to see results for a chemistry profile, an in-house one, and you can see the results and then the appropriate flagging for those results. Visit prescriptions. This section of the SpecVet system is going to be used for prescribing or dispensing medications from within a visit. The way we organize our prescriptions, a user can look for prescriptions that were generated in this visit. Active RXs is a tab to allow users to quickly look at what prescriptions are currently active. You can look for all the prescriptions as well as dispensing history. Patient interactions can be listed here, whether they are true hypersensitivities or preferences by the owner or the pet, and the appropriate flags will be populated. In order to generate a new prescription, you would select the New RX button in the upper right-hand corner, and you would get a secondary window that would pop up. And this is where you then would complete those prescriptions. We have in our inventory system templates to streamline and speed up the writing of those prescriptions so that the dose and the route and the frequency can be pre-populated, though they can be easily overridden. It allows you then in step 2 to indicate number of refills, and 3, if dispensing, will generate the invoice items. And lastly, step 4, you can do one of 4 steps: dispense to the client directly from the clinic. You can print a prescription to give to the client, or you can generate a prescription for the pharmacy. SpecVet is especially unique in how we manage our communications with referring veterinarians. We have the ability to fax or email directly from the system to clients or referring veterinarians. You can auto-send up to 3 individual referring veterinarians. The outgoing communications, whether it's email or faxes, are viewed within this screen, and you have direct confirmation that those reports were received. Reports is also a place where you would generate various labels or other forms, as well as accessing scanned documents. Another unique feature of SpecVet is that we do have very specific discharge steps to maximize communication between the clinical staff and the front office staff, as well as put in tracking as to which technician, doctor, or CSR check this person in or out. Our appointment module is very robust and really can fit the needs of even the most complex specialty and emergency practice. You can look at schedules by the day, by the week, or by the month. You can filter by location, by departments, by provider, or status. Tooltips are used throughout the system. In the appointment module, if you hover over the appointment block, you'll get a yellow pop-up box that will give you more details about the appointment in terms of who made them, details about the appointment, and what it's there for. Availability is an option that allows veterinarians to provide templates to the front office or the technical staff what their appointment preferences are to be used for. Depending on how the system is set, that can be a strict availability, meaning that only a new referral can be put into a new referral spot, or it could be optional, where these become suggestions but not something that is required. Now let's take a look at some of the non-clinical screens or administrative screens. One of the strong features of SpecVet is our medical record template system. We use the acronym of MERTS. Unlike other systems, the MERTS are easy to write. They allow robust classification in terms of naming categories and subcategories, as well as making them active or inactive. We allow visit variables to be used, whether that's patient name, admit dates, referring veterinarian's names, the appropriate pronouns, that allow users to customize the MERT in a way that gives it a much more personalized feel when it's imported into a medical record. You can add one or many MERTs to a medical record, which streamlines the process of generating medical records for the clinical staff. Procedures. Procedures are saved sets of bill codes that then can be imported into an invoice or an estimate, or can be linked to our Super MERT, which streamlines the daily data entry. We're very good about having robust classification, whether they're categories and subcategories. You can include notes to be included on the estimate, whether it is the standard language about recheck exams or other qualifiers. The other nice thing is when your bill codes change, so does your procedure. So you know that they're always up to date and current. Super MERTs. We use the acronym of SMERTs. To review, the MERN is the text box where the medical record note goes into, and templates or MERTs can be added to these notation boxes. What a Super MERT does is allow you to build, in essence, the entire medical record along with billing, so that you could have, in the example here, a GDV Super MERT, which would add a given history with its template, a physical exam with its template, assessment with its template, surgery report with its template, etc. You can also link these two procedures so that literally you can complete your medical record and billing with one mouse click. The personnel screens gives administrators rapid access to key information. You can do basic printouts of this information. You can export the data to Excel for a variety of different reporting requirements within the HR world. SpecVet has extremely robust features and functionality in terms of our billing codes. Most systems will allow you to have bill codes with descriptions and categories, and we do that. But we also have several features that are unique to SpecVet. One is the concept of variable production, where it allows users to set a decreased commission for items that can't be fully marked up, or other rules based on the business logic. We have the notion of a split productivity, which allows users to split the credit for a larger bill code. By example, you can enter in a CT code, and let's say it's $1,000 to the client, and the client just sees that one billing code. Behind the scenes, though, we know that the orderer may get a certain percentage of that bill, the performer may get a certain percentage of that bill, and the interpreter may get a certain percentage of that bill. You also can have authorized providers so that only certain doctors can enter certain bill codes, whether that might be credits, or that might be discounts, or that might be certain codes relating to certain types of activity. You can also have default provider, so that regardless of who enters in that billing code, it will default to a given provider. Now that might be for a radiologist. It might be for, as an example, certain pieces of surgical equipment that always then get defaulted to the surgical staff or maybe to the hospital staff. We do allow you to manage each individual bill code in terms of taxing, discounts, editing, and credits. Internal messaging is a module that will help streamline communication within the hospital. You can select by location, by employee, or by employee class. You can view your messages from the dashboard or within the messaging system. You can view these messages from the dashboard as well, so that we can ensure or maximize our chance of staff being up to date on happenings within the hospital. Our goal with the messaging system is to maximize communication with our staff and minimize some of the paper clutter that goes with it. Searching. SpecVet is unique again in that we have the most complete and robust search engine in the veterinary industry. We can cross-reference and drill down metadata, demographic, financial, and medical data all at the same time. You can see at the top you have 4 tabs of types of data you want to search: visit information, demographic information, financial information, and medical information. Once you generate your report, this list then can be printed, it can be exported to Excel, or you can leave it as a found search and you can reference it back and forth as you try to further refine your search and look for the information you're looking at. This is great for just casual searching of cases that might be of an interest. It's great if you have interns or residents when they have to do case management. Really allows them to dig into the data that you have in the system. We talked about how to generate orders from a visit. This is the orders list, which shows all of the orders that were generated within the hospital. This becomes your lab and imaging log. It will be 100% accurate. It provides a work list for the technicians, a work list for the veterinarians. You can print out these orders. You can export to Excel. SpecVet has an optional large monitor display so that you can put these in the treatment area or in the imaging suites so that orders for either labs or procedures or imaging can quickly and easily be communicated to the technical staff. Help. Even though SpecVet is extremely intuitive and easy to use, we do have built-in user videos that are part of the system, and a user can quickly select a video to watch how to do a certain area. This wraps up the screencast. We hope that you found it useful, and we'll look forward to working with you and learning more about SpecVet in person.